Hello, good afternoon and welcome everyone to today's webinar on local authority perspectives, a different approach to education and healthcare planning. My name is Sam Gonsalves and I'll be hosting our event today. As a parent of an 18-year-old young person with complex needs, life isn't always easy. We face daily challenges and we need support as a family across education, health and social care to help our son have a good life. We continuously need everyone to focus on our aspirations for our son to achieve the best possible outcomes, not only in education, but for him to be as independent as possible, to see his friends, and to be as healthy as possible. We've successfully been using RIX Wikis with our son for the last 5 years, and it has given us a tool by using multimedia production as a way to help our son to have a voice and to take control of his life. It really has made the difference between inclusion or exclusion. You can see a video about our story and our son Shane on the RIX website. Today, however, we'll look at the impact that local authorities from our community of practice here at RIX have realised through the adoption of multimedia advocacy and RIX Wikis. We're delighted today to have a great panel. And on my right here we have Elizabeth Ngoga from Hackney.
Yep, so very pleased to be here. Thank you very much for asking me, Sam, to talk about how we're getting on with Wikis in Hackney. We're into our 2nd year now of implementing Wikis, and we do it centrally through the local authority. I lead a team called the Inclusion and Specialist Support Team, which is a peripatetic team that goes out and supports children with special educational needs in mainstream schools. And we are finding our journey through the Wikis, and we're happy to share it today.
Lovely, thank you very much, Elizabeth. And we've also got Tricia Holmes from Croydon.
Hi, again, I reiterate what Lizzie said. I'm Tricia Holmes as in Sherlock. I've now retired from Croydon Council, but I was instrumental in introducing Wikis even to Croydon Council. Several schools are now managing their own Wikis. We've got the Disability Youth Service working with the 16+ SEND team on using Wikis, and about 70 families have now got their own individual Wikis, and it's been a privilege working with parents and young people to get this rolled out, and it's really exciting.
Lovely, thank you very much, Liz. And we also have Liz Cooper from Surrey.
Hello, I'm an assistant head at Fremantle School, which is a specialist school for children with and young people with communication and social interaction needs, mainly on the autistic spectrum. And we're just started on our journey. I'm representing Surrey. We're part of the pilot study that Surrey are going to be doing over the next 2 years, launching RIX Wiki throughout special needs services. Thank you.
So in advance of today, we've received lots of questions about our experience of RIX Wiki implementation and rollout. So we're going to put some of those questions to our panel and have a discussion, and hopefully we'll be able to answer any live questions that will come through to us today as well. So Tricia, how long have you been using RIX Wikis in Croydon?
Okay, we piloted a few Wikis in 2015, and since then the use of them has grown in Croydon. We found that the multimedia advocacy approach really appealed to our families and schools, because for me it was apparent that a young person or child with SEND can be presented as a bunch of problems in report after report, and seeing a wiki with the photographs and the videos and the sound bites, you suddenly see a human being. And so someone goes from being a bunch of problems and issues of what they can't do to suddenly what they can do. And you suddenly see a person. And I just think that the wikis then put things on a different footing, actually, and you can start a different dialogue. And that's what seems to have worked in Croydon. So people who have got wikis have found that their relationships with the professionals they work with have really started to work in a different way, actually, to everyone's satisfaction, and ultimately, of course, for the young person at the heart of it. And it's been very, very exciting. And my vision was a bit like dropping a pebble in a pool. The ripples start to spread out. And I really wanted to, when I was working there, and it's still continuing now, that, you know, someone who's got a wiki helps somebody else to set up their wiki, and almost like linking arms. and becoming a kind of a huge community of wiki holders and sharing, you know, the difficulties and sharing what's really worked, and people doing it for themselves really as well. Very powerful.
And what have you found have been the benefits for parents creating wikis and supporting the children and young people?
Well, one parent particularly springs to mind. There's lots of benefits, but there's one child who has incredibly complex health needs, and she's got about 15 different professionals working with her. So as you can imagine, and she's non-verbal as well. So as you can imagine, the mother who's on her own had to continually say to somebody, this is my daughter, this is what she needs, this is how she communicates over and over again. And she was able to put together some training videos so that the professionals working with the child knew how to, the best way to work with her. It saved the mother's time. And the little girl, excuse me, who is non-verbal, the professionals working with her were able to look at a video and understand the noise she makes when she's in pain, the different noise she makes when she's thirsty, the different noise she makes when she's hungry. And you know, you can't put that, you can't write a noise in a report, can you? And that's been so powerful, and the impact on the mother has been, she's able to trust now the people who are working with her daughter because she knows she's really being looked after. The professionals feel confident because they feel and they know they're doing the right thing. And of course that child's life has improved as well because people understand her and her needs are being met. And you can't, yeah, it's so powerful, it really is. And parents have found the power of Wiki. They found it opens up dialogue, it opens up communication. And when they've said, my child has this problem, and perhaps school have said, well, they're not like that at school, they can say, well, they are when they get home because they've been so frustrated all day, their behaviour can deteriorate, and this is what happens. And this is why they need a bit more support in school. And things that happen at home, strategies to cope at home that work, the school can then see what works, and they can, as you found, Sam, I know, it works in school, and so we have consistency of approach, and that's very powerful as well. And then for the young people, it's watching their life, and they can feel proud of themselves, and they feel really good, and they realise they have got worse, and their mental health, you know, improves because they can feel they've had self-esteem, they can show people what they've done, and it turns away from being negative and becomes positive for everybody.
Definitely, yeah. No, I would agree. Yeah.
So that's really great to hear those really positive outcomes for the children and young people in Croydon. Elizabeth, could you tell us a little bit about the strategy that you have implemented in Hackney, please?
Yes. And that makes it sound really posh, as though we did have a strategy, but we found ourselves veering away from it. And I think what was really important was to be very flexible. So we started out with preparing a bid. We won some money so that we could have the wikis in the first place in Hackney. It was a very popular idea. We had lots of interest. Everybody was very, very keen. And then once we got them, that kind of changed a little bit. So we still had a lot of interest and people were very keen, but not everybody was ready to start in terms of following the strategy as we had set it out on the calendar, the plan. So it was really important for us to have a project manager in the first place. That was part of our strategy. And I think that has been a key thing that has helped the Wiki project in Hackney to really work, is to have our lovely Suki, who's in charge of our Wiki project in Hackney, who's been able to oversee it all the way. But in terms of the way that the strategy was implemented, her flexibility was key. So she was able to see where the interest was and give support in different ways as it was needed. And I think the training, your support, Sam came and trained groups of our parents and mixed groups of parents and school staff, didn't you? And that was a very successful way of getting wikis going in Hackney. But we still feel like we're on the journey. We're not there yet. We've got many more wikis that we would like to get out there. But also wanted to echo some of your successes. We've had similar successes. It puts the children, young people at the forefront. It's their own voice. But also, it's been great in mainstream schools. Got a lot of children in Hackney with complex needs, but in mainstream education, and it just really helps. It's a training opportunity for the school. It helps the school to see that child as a real member of the school, and for the child to see themselves in that way as well.
And one of the questions that have come through for you, Elizabeth, is what were the challenges and the barriers that you've come across, and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, I think the first challenge is everybody's making people aware what is a wiki, what even is a wiki, and what can it do, what's its potential, because they can, you know, you do the little bit of introduction, but then they need to know more. I think another challenge is people's nervousness about their own IT skills. Will I be able to do it? Are you giving me lots of extra work? Can I fit this in alongside everything else? And I think what we found there was that actually for lots of the schools that have put the wikis into place, it's actually saved them time. So we've got several schools who are now using wikis as a profiling system. So they're not doing their old paper profiling system, they're using the wiki to profile the children, and it's been a fantastic tool for teachers in particular to record progress. It empowers support staff because support staff are very focused on children's achievements. So meetings and discussions between teachers and support staff are no longer, it's just like what you were saying really, Tricia, those discussions are not focused on the problems, they're focused on, oh, I've got this great bit of video, can we put it up on the wiki, this demonstrates this outcome that we're looking for the child, and so on. Training, online training available was really helpful in promoting that. That was another way of getting over the barrier around IT. I think the other bit, and the kind of wider challenge for us, is that we are within the local authority, much like you, Tricia, and your reach is very broad. You know, you've got children at home with their parents, little children, you've got children going to college, you've got children at schools, children in early years settings, children in special schools, children in mainstream schools. We wanted everybody as far as possible to have access to wikis. So trying to work that out with the reach, I think, was another challenge.
Yeah. And you mentioned about the really important role of the project manager.
Yes.
You know, without this person managing, would there have been more challenges, do you feel?
Definitely. I think it was. I mean, she's great, and she has that overview and holds the project. The other thing she's really able to do is she can view the wikis, so people register through Suki, and then she can view them. It means she can encourage people, she can go, you know, she can contact them and say, oh, it's great, you've got your wikis going, or she can say, oh, I see you haven't had a chance to do much, is there any help you need? So she can help overcome those humps and bumps along the way.
And is this an add-on to her job, or does she have dedicated time?
She has dedicated time for this, yeah. So we bid for that time as part of the original project. So we got some additional money in the initial bid to fund 2 days a week. And now she's still doing 2 days a week, but that's funded centrally because I think the benefit has been picked up and acknowledged, and it's in part of the core budget now.
That's great. And in Croydon, do you also have a similar person doing that role?
Yes, we've got a role that has what I left behind, and that someone has a role a couple of days a week, and there is time to carry on the wikis. And you do need, I reiterate what Lizzie said, that you do need somebody to be the centre focal point, and you do have kind of helicopter view of everything, and you can manage it, and you're able to be flexible then as well, because you can, you know, might have an idea of a strategy, but you might find it's not working, and so there's someone who can say, no, actually that would work better, and they're kind of in control of it. You don't get the anarchy, you've got it controlled. Because it could get very lucky.
We still managed to keep a little bit of anarchy.
A little bit of anarchy is good. As long as a little bit of control under there. Not a lot, just a little bit, just to keep, you know, 1 foot nailed on the ground never hurts.
Lovely. And you mentioned about the benefits in schools. So Liz, could you tell us about how long you've been using wikis in the schools and the benefits you've seen so far as well?
So we've only been using wikis since December, but we're already finding that there's a group of students, our most able students, who are starting to create their own wikis. And yesterday I had the lovely experience of a student presenting his wiki at his EHCP, and somebody who previously hasn't been able to speak at his EHCP because he's been too nervous was able to talk about all sorts of things, from his shopping preferences to his aspirations for the future. And it was in his language, his humour came out, and his parents were almost in tears. So it was just lovely to give that opportunity to a 16-year-old. And so we're just at the beginning of our journey, really.
So for that young person, it has given him the tool for his voice to be heard.
Yes, and just the beginning of it, being able to do it. We're also going to, with the same cohort of students, launch a sort of digital CV based on Wiki, when we record all their work experience, we video sort of vocational work that they're doing. And this hopefully will give them more opportunities in the future. Because so often we find that they don't do GCSEs, there's very little that we can give them on a piece of paper to really show what they're capable of.
And I know there was a really good story in Croydon about a young person, you know, looking at transition and moving on, and how he used his Wiki.
Yes, his Wiki was amazing. It really helped him get into the college he wanted to go to. He was very keen on music. And so he used his Wiki to show him playing the guitar and singing, and the fact he's composed his own music. And so he used the Wiki as part of his audition, and he got into the music college because he is very talented. And his mother said she's sure he wouldn't have got into that college without having that Wiki. And he is brilliant, and he was able to show how brilliant he is, and he feels on top of the world now. He's going to the college he wants to go to. And there's the other young man who has very great difficulties in face-to-face communication. He finds it very hard to speak to people. And I'm sure somewhere on a report it says he plays a musical instrument. It would be one sentence in a report. On his Wiki, there is a video of him playing in an orchestra on the stage at the Royal Albert Hall in front of hundreds of people cheering, applauding and clapping, and he is standing there playing his musical instrument. And it just blows you away, because I couldn't stand on stage at the Royal Albert Hall and, you know, talk, let alone play a musical instrument. How many of us could? And yet this child who, you know, has all these issues and can't do this, can't do that, can do that. And for me, that is so powerful, because again, I keep saying it, you see a person with a problem, and you can see potential, and you can see his aspirations, and like the other lad who's got into college, how talented he is. And that's the multimedia approach transcends the written word, doesn't it? You know, to drive people, and also if you've got a 40-page report, you're not going to read it, not really. Whereas just a 2-minute video is just breathtaking, and he'll be able to use that, and the other young lad will as well, throughout their life, I think. And no reason you can't do it as an adult, and you have your journey through your life, isn't it?
So that's what the whole SEND reforms are about, is achieving aspirations, being given the opportunity, and for that young person to go to college, his aspiration has become reality.
Absolutely.
With the help of multimedia. But that's a fancy.
And it's not an unreal aspiration, it's not a daydream. You actually can do it.
Exactly.
You know? It's brilliant.
Exactly. So this young person you were telling us about, who presented at his annual review, was he the first one to actually do that?
The first one of our school, yes. And that's a journey since December last year. So very, very quick turnaround. He also said that for him, it was a much better way of being in the meeting. He felt that he could actually say something. So we had a very successful meeting, which was, to me, it was really quite magical seeing somebody have that voice. And that has been something that's been missing from our AHCP reviews for a long time. And the piece of papers just don't do it.
And I suppose from seeing such a positive outcome for him, for yourself as a head teacher, can kind of plan for that to happen more for other young people within the school. Because you're just at the beginning of the Wiki implementation, aren't you?
Yes, I'm an assistant head for the secondary department. I'm looking at rolling it out, particularly for our post-16 students, so that they've got a transition document, because that's something that's always been a problem, is trying to really give the knowledge that we have of 15 years of young people's study and achievements to the next people who are going to work with them. And I've also got another group who I'm trying to encourage the parents to be working with us, of some of our more challenging students who they haven't got the verbal ability, and they can't share their story, but their parents need something to be able to pass on to the service providers. They're quite often going to respite and to after school clubs, and all these people need the information so that we're all doing the same joined up approach, which is what you were saying. quite often as well, I think it would be useful for school to share things that are working with parents, which quite often we find that our students don't generalise skills. So you might have a student that when he's out with us will eat food that he wouldn't eat at home. And this, we've had an instance, not using Wiki, but using a little video clip recently where a parent had never been out for a meal with their young person, but us sharing a video clip with them of us taking him out, they've now managed to go out as a family. And a wiki will be a really powerful way of sharing information.
So for those families, using the invite feature on the wiki, being able to invite other professionals who work with their children and young people to all access that information in one place is clearly of benefit to everybody.
Oh, it's vital. We've got another young man who's actually in a residential provision, which happens to be on our site as well. And they are involved in the pilot. They're going to create a wiki for him. He's non-verbal and he wouldn't have any voice because he's not got parents to fight for him. And when he's 18, he will have to leave both our school and this setup. So to have a wiki to send with him will be very important.
Yeah, and I'm quite excited because I'll be working with you as well on moving forward in Surrey.
Yes, next week.
Yes. And getting more children and young people up and running with their wikis. So Elizabeth, what next? For Hackney.
Well, we love the wikis and we are on our wiki journey. We've found so many benefits reflected by both of you in Surrey and Croydon as well. And they're particularly beneficial around transition, I think, when children are moving into reception class from year 6 into year 7, primary into secondary and on to college. And so that's one of the key areas that we're going to focus on is developing wikis around transition in the post-16. The other thing we want to do, and actually chatting with Tricia before we did this webinar today, and learning about how you did this, we're already focused on empowering more parents to support each other. And Tricia's got nice ideas about parent buddies that they have been using in Croydon, and I think we'll be talking more about that. So we want to roll them out further with our parents, and then a particular focus on post-16, but also transition points. Yeah.
Tricia, could you tell us a little bit more about that buddying system that you have?
Yes, and I'm not trying to pretend it's totally, happening, but that was my introduction to people who were a little bit worried about not having the IT skills at the time or the knowledge to set up a wiki. So parents who'd already set up theirs were happy to go and find somebody else who expressed an interest, mainly through the Parents Forum, Parents in Partnership. To sit down with them and have a chat and say, look, this is how I did it, just sketch out vaguely what you might want to have in your wiki. And, do you take videos on your phone? Yes. Do you take photographs on your phone? Well, this is no different. You're just uploading it onto your wiki. It's what you're doing anyway. And it really helped people to have confidence that they can start setting the wiki up. And of course, as we all know, young people are so IT savvy that actually half the time the young person was able to say, oh mum, look, let me do it because you can't, and they're uploading their own videos and getting involved actually, which is brilliant. I think it's your wiki, you should be involved in sorting it out. And so that's working really well. It comes back to somebody having that overall view and being able to say, all right, this person, they're a little bit difficult, they're not quite sure how to set a wiki up, but so-and-so set several up now, so we'll put them in touch. And I did set up a Wiki Wonders group before I retired to try and put people in touch, and my plan was, and I've still got the plan, Croydon, that we're going to sort of meet up with parents and have together days, as it were, and we can show wikis. Those who want to share wikis can, and people can sit and have a chat and help to do a bit of troubleshooting together. So just make it friendly.
Yeah, and sharing those case studies.
Very much so, because that's what inspires somebody else.
Exactly.
Because, and no disrespect to you, Sam, you're fantastic, and when parents hear you and see what you've done, they're blown away. What blew them away even more is one of our local mums, having seen what Sam did, suddenly thought, I can do this, and she showed her son's wiki, and then suddenly everyone sitting in that room thought, well, she's just from Croydon like we are, but she can do it. And I don't mean that in a rude way, you know, because everyone says it sounds wonderful, you are. But you've spoken so much and so widely that you're professional almost. Whereas this was just, and I don't mean just, you know what I mean, an ordinary local mum from Croydon, and she can do it. And so many people then thought, I can do that too, you know.
Yeah.
And that was the benefit of having a Wiki Wonders Day.
Like inspiring others.
Yeah, to see how easy it can be. And and yes, and this mother said yes. The first time I put my photographs up, they were all upside down, and I had to take them back down again, and we did this, that, and the other, and then they were up the right way. So it's no big deal really, but very, very empowering.
Excellent. Just before we finish, could maybe we talk a little bit about your service wiki, your local offer?
Sure, yes. Well, the local offer has been really important to us in Hackney, and with our local offer coordinator, Ella, it has been a key person to support us with wikis. So we've now got a wiki page on the local offer, on the Hackney local offer, and several teams within SEND, so my team, the educational psychology team, speech and language therapy team, the education health and care planning team, have all developed their own service wikis. We're a bit shy about them, but they're out there on the internet, so we can't be too shy, because, you're putting something out that for professional, this is us. But it was really terrific to do it, and it made us pin down our services. What are they? What do people want to know about them onto a wiki? So so it's been great having service wikis, and they've proved very popular. And we're also in the middle of developing some wikis which are about conditions in general. So one of our physiotherapists, Maxine, it has got a group set up with young people with cerebral palsy, and they are going to contribute to a wiki which is about cerebral palsy. So that's been another example of good use of a collective wiki. Well, it's work in progress. It'll be up there in a while.
Yeah, lovely. We've just got in another live question. I'd like to ask one of our local authority people, please, to answer this one. Realistically, how many wikis can you get set up and running within a year?
Well, that's a very big question. It depends. Shall I take to do a little bit about that one?
Yeah.
So I would say, from our point of view, one of our special schools got going straight away, and they got it going for all the pupils in the school within that year. So it depends on commitment, and gauge your commitment from your various partners beforehand, and then don't expect them necessarily to stick to it, I would say. I can't really give you a number. Within our first year, Suki would know more clearly, I reckon we got about 300 in the first year. Yeah, we've got about 600 now. Yeah, and that's it. We're into the second year. It's getting faster. At the beginning, it's slow. At the very beginning, it was slow for us. Yeah.
I think I'd agree with that. We've got several hundred throughout the schools in Croydon, and then it took us about 18 months to get the 70 individual ones up and running, just because it does take time, and people, are not mistrustful, but they're very anxious about who's going to look at the wiki, for instance, and there's a lot of issues around that, which we've overcome. But it does depend on the schools. That's where you'll get the biggest number, I think.
Excellent. Well, I'm afraid it's gone really quick. We're just out of time. Thank you very much for your participation and to everybody who's contributed to the questions. We're sorry we haven't been able to answer all of the questions. There will be a recording of the webinar online, and Dr. Sophia Bocara will share the link with everybody who's attended. And if any of your questions have not been answered, we will get back to you with the answers to those afterwards. Thank you very much, and thank you to all our panelists.
Thanks.
Thank
you.
Okay, now following on from our webinar, we've had just a few really interesting questions, so we thought we would maybe discuss those and we'll be able to offer them out to everybody again. The first question here we've received is, have wikis been used as part of the EHC or annual review process? Well, from my perspective as a parent, from the very beginning in year 9 when my son started using his wiki, we have used his wiki at every single review. He's present, he's there, and to be quite honest, I couldn't imagine having a meeting now without Shane being there. And Liz, you've given that great example about that young person, and now you intend to kind of roll that out more with other students within the school,
yes.
because it was really clear the benefit for that child and for the parents.
Yes, and the other professionals that were there, the social worker who was there was quite amazed at, this is something she'd heard about, and suddenly she saw it in action with a young person presenting it, and that to me was incredibly powerful.
And it makes it a much more interesting meeting as well,
Yes,
doesn't it?
definitely.
Yeah. And so in Hackney, I believe you've been using wikis
Yes.
for EHC.
Yes, so they're used widely at annual review now. Lots of children and young people have already got an EHC plan, or they, and then they get their wiki. But also we've got some examples of little children who a wiki has been set up before they get their EHC, and it's been used as part of the planning process. So that's been really, really helpful as well. And as you say, the meetings are much more interesting, or less boring, is another way of saying it.
Have there been any challenges?
I think the challenges are around the rollout, really. So we would like all our children coming forward for EHCP to have a wiki, because it makes the whole meeting so much more person-centred. It's had an impact even for those children who haven't got a wiki, because video evidence is being used much more. So I think as we reach more of those groups, we'll have the video evidence as well to include on the wiki. So I think it's, they feed each other. Yeah.
Excellent. So the next question we have in is, how have you enabled and ensured all practitioners involved with the child contributes to the content and keeps it up to date? Well, I've been working with a couple of local authorities, and they've had small pilot groups. And for the parents, they wanted to feel confident approaching professionals who were working with their child. So what they've done is the local authority, because they've endorsed this project, they prepared a letter for parents that they could share with professionals. So when they approached a professional, and for example, speech and language therapists, and they would like video content for the wiki, having that letter from their local authority saying, us as a local authority, we're supporting this project, and we'd like all professionals working with the families in our pilot groups to support them and contribute to their wiki. So this has greatly helped. So what have you done in Hackney to ensure their involvement?
Yeah, so I think when we first got the project, we involved all the different professionals across education, health and social care in some of the initial training meetings and so on, so that they were aware of the project and knew what was coming, and also to reassure them about concerns they may have had about security of the wikis. In particular for health professionals, they're always terribly concerned. I mean, we're all concerned about security, aren't we, of the wikis, but they have got different rules that they have to follow around security in health. So information communication was really key between the different professionals, but also because in Hackney we've kind of got this bit of a scattergun approach, and it's very wide, and you're working with lots of different groups in the community, different schools and settings. They've all got their own approaches and rules, and so it's very important again to have that communication, understand, have they got already systems around video permission? Do we need to add something on? We've developed our own templates around video permission and so on. So it's about working with, listening to people and finding out what they need in order to facilitate the wiki content being uploaded. Yeah.
And have you found RIX supportive in?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other thing, is that we can always come back to RIX, and they are there, and you've got your little button in the corner of the wiki to refer people to as well, so they can schools and parents can contact RIX directly as well as coming through us. So that's been fantastic. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, that's great. And you mentioned about the security and
Yes.
This being an issue. So before you started the project, how did you overcome that barrier?
Yes, so it was a big issue. It's a big issue for local authorities. They've got very strict rules about data protection, and our managers and our senior managers have to be absolutely sure that we are doing things correctly and within the law. And so when I did the bid in the first place to get the wikis in Hackney, we had to jump through quite a lot of hoops around the security, and RIX provided lots of information, and in fact our senior managers liaised directly with RIX. They bypassed us and the bid altogether, because they really needed to be absolutely certain about the security, that the information on the wikis was held securely and how that was held.
Yeah, so we'd encourage any local authority who's thinking about a project with RIX, if you have any questions or queries, just come back to us and we can go directly to you and explain all the security questions or queries or any issues that you might have. Just to finish off, as we're launching our Doing Things Differently project, which is a package around supporting groups of up to 20 families, and could I just ask you, Liz, when you started, how did you get people on board?
What we've done, it's not even number 20 actually, I wanted to have 10 students who were involved of our older cohort, and also try and get 10 parents off right the way through the school. We didn't want to try and do too much, we wanted to do something that was manageable to try and do it well. And then as we're doing more, we're hoping that it will spread. And I think that's really a key thing, to really make sure that you can achieve something as opposed to try and do too much.
It's like what you said, Tricia, earlier about that ripple effect.
Absolutely.
So in your opinion, do you think this is a good way to start?
I think it's a fab way, because you do have to start small. And yes, it'd be great if you said you had 1,000 wikis, but so what? What's the quality? And for me, if you only ever do 10 really good wikis where a young person's voice is heard, their aspirations are met, they can go into adulthood showing that they can do something, that they have skills, that they can live their lives as a human being. I think that would be the success, and we shouldn't get too hung up on the numbers. And I think start small really works, because it might take time, but the ripples in the big pool do gradually get to the end, don't they? It might take a little bit of time, and I think we need to put time into this. I think it'll show the benefits.
It does take time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Nat.